Welcome to my Cleveland Four Peaks walk. This 9-mile circular route includes 636 metres of ascent. I begin at the Clay Bank car park, immediately starting the steep climb up towards White Hill. This well-maintained path features large cobbles and stone slabs, making the navigation straightforward despite the steep incline. I pause to admire views of Moor and Round Hill, the highest point in the North York Moors. Reaching the summit of White Hill, I tick off Peak 1 while looking down at Drake Howe plantation. To the northwest, the distinctive shape of Roseberry Topping stands out clearly above the village of Great Ayton. Looking north, I see Stokesley and Great Broughton, with the distant industrial skyline of Teesside on the horizon. The path across White Hill flattens for half a mile, providing a welcome chance to catch my breath. At the western edge, I reach the Wain Stones, dramatic sandstone boulders sculpted by millennia of wind and rain. The views here are spectacular, looking west towards my next major challenge of the day, Cringle Moor. Looking south from the rocks, I gaze deep into Billsdale, flanked by the high ridges of the moors. I navigate through the stones following the acorn symbols, the familiar markers of the National Cleveland Way Trail. Descending from the Wain Stones, I follow the trail briefly before beginning the next steep climb up Cringle Moor. This ascent is sturdy and well constructed with stone steps, though it remains a very physically demanding section. At 402 metres, Cringle Moor is Peak 2. The panoramic views stretch towards the North Sea. A short level section across the summit offers a brief respite before the path begins to drop down again. As I descend Cringle Moor, I can easily spot my third goal, Cringle Moor, rising to the west. I enjoy an easier stretch across the fields, following clear signposts that guide me towards the next ascent. Where the path splits, I take the left-hand route to begin the climb up the side of Cringle Moor. Early in the climb, I am rewarded with another spectacular view of Roseberry Topping sitting on the horizon. I push onwards, huffing and puffing up the stone path, knowing the next summit is now within reach. Cringle Moor is Peak 3. I visit the large stone cairn at Drake Howe, the highest point. After visiting the summit, I return to the main path and look back at the ridge of Cringle Moor. The route curves above Kirby Bank, leading me towards an outstanding viewpoint marked by a visible stone bench. This viewpoint features a toposcope and stone pillar, offering sweeping vistas across the entire Teesside area. I take in Great Broughton and Stokesley once more, showcasing the incredible landscape of this four-peak challenge. Leaving the viewpoint, I descend beside a dry stone wall, spotting my final target, Carlton Moor, ahead. The path levels out along the edge of the woodland as I make my way towards Lordstones. I detour to Green Bank to see the modern stone circle that was erected here in 2013. Two benches on the hillside offer a perfect spot to sit and enjoy the stunning views towards the north. I arrive at Lordstones Country Park and stop for a well-earned coffee in their warm and welcoming cafe. Refreshed, I continue towards Huthwaite Green to begin the final ascent of the day up Carlton Moor. As I climb higher, I enjoy breathtaking views that stretch across the landscape towards the North Sea. Reaching the triangulation pillar at 408 metres, I successfully complete the fourth and final peak. Looking west, I admire tree-covered Wall Hill with the quiet village of Faceby nestled at its base. I descend a steep, narrow path towards a disused quarry where the gradient finally begins to ease off. Beyond the quarry, I follow the track back towards the road before rejoining the trail through Lordstones. From here, I take a level bridleway that skirts the northern slopes of Cringle Moor through the mud. Along Kirby Bank, I get a great view of Cringle Moor while following the lower path around it. The route winds along Broughton Bank, overlooking the farm and the village of Great Broughton far below. With a wall on my right, I navigate the woodland edge beneath the steep slopes of Cringle Moor. After roughly 1.5 miles, the familiar sight of Moor and the car park comes into view. This final stretch follows a lower route directly beneath the steep northern slopes of White Hill. As the path starts to descend, I know I am finally nearing the end of this wonderful walk. Rejoining the Cleveland Way, I descend the final steps and walk along the roadside back to the car. Visit my website at paulbeale.com for directions, maps, statistics and all the photos from this video.